So I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of the Persimmon driver with Tiger Woods. So Tiger was known to practice with the Persimmon driver, and in this following clip we're going to confirm that, where he's giving a clinic with Butch Harmon, and Butch talks a little bit about this. So in 2001, as everybody knows or should know, that Tiger actually held all 4 major championships at the same time, the Tiger Slam. It's an incredible accomplishment. And he notes here that one of the keys to his practice routine was to practice with a Persimmon driver.
I don't think that this young man here needs much of an introduction other than to say that he is the current U.S. Open, British Open, PGA, and Masters champion. I don't care what you read, that's a slam in my book. Now, Tiger, when he's home, likes to practice with an old wooden driver. And he actually hits it pretty good, and you've read a lot about modern technology and how much these clubs go further. I want you to watch this wooden driver, because it goes the same distance as this one.
That was weird.
Now the beauty of the wooden driver over the metal woods is Tiger feels he can shape the ball a little better. The balls on titanium heads, they come off the head very fast, so the spin on them is hard to hit the little curves. With the wooden club, the Persimmon club, the ball actually stays on the face a little longer, and it's a little easier for him to hit some curves. Hit a few shots for him. Yeah? Where are you going to hit there? Full drop? Now that's a shot that's hard for you to hit with your metal wood, isn't it?
I struggle with that one. I don't like to have to turn my driver over. Okay.
Little left to right shot.
Now, why would he do that? Well, the Persimmon driver it's a little harder to hit than the bigger titanium drivers. So, smaller head, got to be a little more precise. And as Butch talks about, that the ball stays on the face a little bit longer. It's not quite as hot coming off, so you can control the spin on the golf ball better with the Persimmon driver. So by practicing with that, he was able to hone in his abilities and his skill with the driver swing, with the Persimmon driver, because you can work the ball left to right, right to left, much better control. So it's not just I don't believe it's just how hot it's coming off the face with the titanium, but it also has to do with the design of the club. So in a Persimmon driver, you would have a chunk of lead directly behind the sweet spot. So the engineering of that is different than the wide, big-headed club where everything is perimeter weighted. That's really designed for the hacker golfer, weekend golfer, to just kind of help them, hit, to get rid of the really bad shots. A good player, like obviously any tour player, Tiger Woods, certainly wouldn't need the big-headed drivers. In fact, I think when Tiger was playing his best golf, he would often hit that 3-wood off the tee, and he hit that little stinger shot when he had to get it in play. And he also mentions in this that he had trouble working the ball from right to left with the driver, and said he didn't like to do that. So I think the Persimmon driver made sense for him to practice with. Now, he grew up as a junior and into college playing the Persimmon driver. So he was kind of right in that little era in between the age of Persimmon and then into the modern drivers. So Tiger grew up, his whole growing up and training was with the Persimmon driver. And I think he's probably, not known as the greatest driver of the golf ball. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I think he would be the first to admit that. Probably the greatest putter, chipper, short game, wedge player, one of the great iron players. And I'm certainly not here to bash Tiger Woods, but I would just say that it would be of note that he never did win at Riviera, where you have to drive it straight. Never won at Colonial. Never won at Harbortown. Now, he didn't play those tournaments a lot, but there's probably reason he didn't play those tournaments. He didn't like the tight courses. Doesn't have a great record on real tight courses. Pebble Beach, of course, obviously he was driving the ball well there to have done what he did to win that tournament and set all the records and everything. And I would also note that Tom Watson was not particularly known for driving the ball straight. Not a great driver of the golf ball. Of course, these guys are good drivers of the golf ball, but I don't think Tom Watson or Tiger Woods is going down in history as the great drivers of the golf ball. Both were able to win at Pebble Beach. So Pebble's an interesting thing. You do have to hit the ball straight at Pebble Beach, but there are places where you can program your miss out there and get away with it. So I can see where someone that's not as accurate off the tee could win at Pebble Beach easier than they would some of the others. U.S. Opens typically are very narrow. Of course, not anymore. That's all changed, and that's completely a different thing now. But back in that era, certainly from the going back to the 1990s, early 2000s, I think you still had to hit it pretty straight. So Tiger won at Bethpage, which was very, very long golf course and not super tight. So hitting the ball 30, 40 yards past everybody else, being in the rough and being able to come in there with the shorter irons out of there, could be an advantage. He also won at Torrey Pines, which was pretty wide open. I've played there many times, and it's not a narrow golf course. So a couple U.S. Opens where he didn't have to hit it straight, as straight. His record isn't as great in the U.S. Opens. So again, I'm not here to bash Tiger. I'm just making a point here that circling back around, that I think the reason he was practicing with a Persimmon driver was because he knew he needed to improve in that area, and he wouldn't be able to improve in that area with the modern drivers, with the titanium big-headed drivers, because you just don't get the feedback. You don't get the feel of where you're hitting it on the face. If the face is this big, you're hitting it all over the place. You can't really tell exactly where you're hitting it. With the Persimmon driver, with the weight centered behind the sweet spot, you can tell exactly where you're hitting it on the face. You can tell if you're a quarter inch off the center, if you're hitting a little towards the toe or the heel. You really feel it, which then your brain says, okay, on this next one, I've got to focus and narrow in my focus to get it into the sweet spot. So it makes perfect sense to me. But I do think it's important to note this, that Tiger again is practicing with the Persimmon driver, and while he's doing that, he's holding all 4 major championships. So does that mean that it's beneficial to practice with a Persimmon driver? I would say absolutely. I think you absolutely should practice with a Persimmon driver if you want to improve your driving. Not only is the club heavier, it's going to help build your muscle strength to do that. You're going to learn to hit the ball more accurately with a Persimmon driver, which is important. And if Tiger Woods does it, then shouldn't we all, really? Especially in this case where he's saying that he's practicing with a Persimmon driver and holding all 4 major championships. So I think it's a great thing to do. I think everyone should have a Persimmon driver to practice with. If you can hit a Persimmon driver well, then it should make it easier for you to hit the modern driver. But nobody's really mastered the modern driver as far as I'm concerned. Being able to just laser that thing down the fairway and just hit it straight every time. The really great ball strikers, as far as I'm concerned, you have to drive the ball straight. You have to be a great driver of the golf ball. I posted on here the George Knutson's 5 shells matches, and he missed a couple of fairways and 5 rounds, and they were just trickle offs the side or whatever. Being able to hit the ball straight is a critical element in mastering the game of golf, and I don't feel like some of the players are doing that, by hitting the ball 40, 50 yards offline with the modern driver. It's not showing mastery of the game as far as I'm concerned. I know people will disagree with that, but I feel like I'm correct on this. If you're going to master the ball striking, you've got to hit it, straight with the driver. So anyway, those are my thoughts. go out and buy yourself a Persimmon driver, start practicing with that. And we certainly promote Persimmon players here because it is a more masterful way of striking the golf ball. And everything that we do in our teaching here is geared towards accuracy, reasonably good length, but accuracy is the most important thing that we want to have. And learn to be accurate with your irons and your driver, your wedges, chipping, putter, all of that thing. We know just casting that aside and saying, oh, I only care about hitting it far or whatever. It's just not a masterful approach towards the game of golf. So anyway, we'll see you at the next one, and hope you enjoy this video.